There are days that start out normal but end in a way you never imagined. You know that mix of routine, silly arguments, and a cold that seems to never end? Well, that's how my night started. But, as they say, fate loves to surprise. Between endless lines, unexpected affection, and a twist full of chemistry, everything changed in an intense way. Do you want to know how a simple decision can become the beginning of something unforgettable? Stay with me, because this story will keep you hooked until the very last second. But before you start, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any stories from our channel. I was at home, doing my usual routine, that comfortable routine that we end up creating without even realizing it. My boyfriend, who had practically already settled in there without ever admitting it, was glued to me, like always. He was the type of person who said he was just passing through, but let's face it, my house was already as much his as it was mine. On one of those normal days, he asked, "Honey, what do you want to eat?" Without even thinking, I blurted out, "I want a pastel." Now, let me explain. He had this obsession with gourmet food, full of fuss. But honestly, when I decide on something, there's no going back. He tried to give it a basic twist, to suggest something else, but he could see on my face that it wasn't going to happen. With the decision made, I went straight to the kitchen. I was excited, with that energy of someone who knows they're going to rock. I picked up the ingredients carefully, remembering the tricks my grandmother always taught me. As I rolled out the dough and filled the pastries, I could already imagine the scene. Him giving in, licking his fingers and admitting that I was right, because of course, my pastries always turned out irresistible. Meanwhile, my mind was racing. The pasty was just the beginning of everything I was already planning. When I'm excited, it seems like time flies and my mind travels further than it should. Every detail, every moment, was already drawn out in my head. Our relationship had these little traditions that I loved. Almost every night, after a busy day, we would go out to eat something, come home, watch a movie on TV, and just enjoy being together. It was simple, but it was ours. But that day, things got a little out of hand. Time was against us. The place was closing early, and I was already rushing him. "Hurry up, honey, or it'll close." He, as calmly as possible, kept stalling, but I didn't let it go. When it comes to food, the priority is always top priority. We showered quickly, got ready in record time, and jumped in the car. That's when things started to heat up in a different way. Halfway there, out of nowhere, we started an argument. I still don't remember the reason. Maybe the radio, maybe the road. You know how it is, right? Those silly little fights that come out of nowhere. But even in the middle of the crossfire, we continued the trip, because one thing was certain: hunger always speaks louder. In the end, the tension of the argument only made the atmosphere more intense. That mix of irritation and desire in the air, the quick words, the sharp looks, the pastel, it was just a pretext for the night that was yet to come. Because when we met, for real, everything was even more enjoyable. When we got to the place, the first thing I saw was a gigantic line. Huge. Look, I was already a little sour because of the argument, and that biting cold only made everything worse. It was as if the night had decided to conspire against me. And, to make things better, but not really, the social distancing rules made everything move at a snail's pace. There we were, freezing and huffing, while the line seemed like a test of divine patience. After a long time, and when I say long, I mean an emotional eternity, we managed to get our food. But of course, the universe had one more thing to throw in my face. They got my order wrong. I was dreaming about 2 plates of fried rice with shrimp, my absolute favorite, and only one arrived. At that moment, I took a deep breath, counted to 10, but I felt like throwing everything away. Even so, I held firm because, hunger is hunger, and my passion for food always wins. After another long wait, they finally got the order right. I picked up the bags as if they were a trophy, and all I wanted to do was go home, wrap myself in a warm blanket, and forget that day had ever existed. When we arrived, we went upstairs feeling tired after so many small setbacks throughout the day. I left everything on the counter and went straight to the shower. I needed that sacred moment, just me and the hot water, to wash away the stress, the cold, and even the irritation of the mistake in the order. While the water was running, I thought, now all we have to do is enjoy ourselves, watch some movie, and let love do the rest. Because in the end, it always worked out. Between fights, laughter, and pastries, that's how we worked. Love was the spice that made everything worthwhile, even on the most chaotic nights. After the shower, I put on my most comfortable pajamas, the ones that feel like a hug because they're so soft. I was ready to disconnect from the world. We went to the bedroom, put on some light music to create that nice atmosphere, and stayed. There, talking. You know those moments when you feel like everything is in place? That's exactly what it was. It was just me and him. That simple and peaceful connection, the kind of harmony that we only have with someone who understands even our silences. Everything was perfect until he decided to pick up the video game. The video game. I thought, okay, he'll play for a little while, and I'll take a nap. We had already eaten, laughed, and talked about everything, so my body was screaming for rest. I lay down there, feeling zen, ready to disconnect from the world while he played. But then came the plot twist. He didn't just play for a little while. No, sir. He was glued to that controller for about 3 hours. 3 hours. Straight. Our plan to watch a movie turned into dust in the air, and he was so immersed in the game that he seemed to be competing for an Olympic medal. And me? I had already passed out a long time ago. I slept like that with the blanket up to my neck, completely oblivious to what was happening around me. The reality? He was in the video game championship, and I was in the deep sleep championship. When he finally put the controller down and came to bed, I barely noticed. I only felt that slight movement, him adjusting the blanket, settling in as if he didn't care. Okay, I thought. So far, so good. But out of nowhere, he decided to turn on a movie. A movie. I, practically in another world, didn't even realize what was going on. But as always, he found a way to bring me back. And there he comes. Hey, get up. Let's watch the movie. Shaking me, insisting, as if it were the most urgent thing in the world. My head was still floating between sleep and reality, and all I could think was, did he really wake me up for this? But, to avoid any trouble at that hour, I got up. A little dizzy, I sat down and looked at the screen. Something with Bruce Willis, from one of those generic action movies. But honestly, my body was screaming off mode again. I tried to stay alert, but sleep was winning hands down. But he, determined, wouldn't let it go. Every time he came up with a nudge, a comment, any excuse to keep me awake. I looked at him, a little suspicious, thinking, why is he so focused on this? And then it hit me. Suddenly, the movie was no longer the focus. He started off with that different attitude. First a hug, then some caresses. Those gestures that make it clear that it wasn't just because of Bruce Willis. At first, I confess, I was resistant. My body still wanted the blanket and the pillow, but he was so excited, almost as if it were the first time, that there was no way around it. His energy ended up, infecting me, and I thought, okay, go ahead, let's do it. Little by little, I got into the mood. That initial laziness gave way to something lighter, more fun. And that's when I realized, sometimes, these unexpected changes are exactly what we need. It was as if that night, which seemed lost, had turned into something much better than I could have imagined. If you're at the right age for this kind of conversation, let me tell you something. Important. Breaking out of the routine with the person you love is essential. It may seem strange at first, but these are the moments that bring a new spark to the relationship, that keep things alive and exciting. That's exactly what happened to me. And let me tell you, it was simply amazing. So, the next time the chance to do something out of the ordinary comes up, don't say no so quickly. Sometimes the unexpected is where you find the most incredible moments. And if you liked this story, you know what to do. Leave a like, comment below, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Your interaction makes all the difference. Kisses and see you next time. So, did you like this story? If you're curious to know what happened next or want more spicy details of what happened, comment below with the word, "I want more." I'll only tell you if you're really interested. Let me know that you're in the mood